Oh shit.
Nobody tells me it's them, not me. If it's anybody, it's me. You're damn right it's me.
I know what you were trying to do.
Nobody does it better than me. Yes, well, unfortunately, you'll never get the chance to find out.
Yeah. See, breaking up is hard to move along, and she been harder. It's over, she got colder now, can't locate where her heart is. And I'm just being honest, since we not even talking, my mom won't let you go. Should even consider stalking now. You know that my ego won't. Thought this was forever love. Guess that was the season though. She got back with her old boy. Probably had a reason though. Although thought that we would grow. Guess that wasn't feasible. But we ain't gotta be big, we know. I miss you at my recent show. Speak to CJ often in the free time. I just would pick you up. Yeah, hit you up or call you up or send a text. Your new man got my respect. So if I do call, it's just a check. Heard that you alright, yo. My nigga for life, yo. It's funny how this life go. We love for a while, then the light goes. Took me a while to right, yo. Pride I had to fight, so I'ma stop right there. And I know you don't care, but I hope you got that fight, boo. Hey, 19 minutes. Yeah, tell me about the love of ours. Contemplate, I wrote about it. We no longer close to nothing. That's why she ignore my flowers in my car and my text. But her sounds of them, I guess. I regret some shit I did, but darling, it's not intimate. Who was better? I know I was. Don't you lie, don't blow my buzz. You ask me who I'm stroking now. I say that the pool is closed. Can we stay broken up and all these pages closing up? I hope we both do learn from this. Someone that you don't know gotta be so rough. Gotta get better with time. Relationships should never rewind. Better you're all behind. Guess that means you'll never be mine. Well, there's a but without two love, it's cold as fuck. Life is a movie, we gon' stay cut, but most times, darling, the sequel sucks. More about nothing, man. This is part two, man. Man, it's been grinding, man. This, feel good, man. I got to meet a lot of my fans, and I didn't know how diverse my fan base was. I'm just a kid that likes to talk about reality, to be honest. Like, I can break down a relationship in a lot of different ways, and I can break down what I've seen, my time on this planet. But when niggas talk that rap shit, like I consider myself one of the best, new young rappers as well as the best out active rappers right now, man. So, I'm on my no days off shit. They some workers. We some workaholics. Let's do it. Blowing that happening, covered in some track like a motherfucking laminate. Yeah, real niggas in my cabinet. You the type of nigga make a stripper turn celibate. Let's celebrate, levitate with the loud, never wait.
I told you. What? I told you she liked me. How do you know? She told me. She says she's never had a man stir up all these feelings inside of her. She's questioning her faith. She's thinking of leaving the church. Wow. Listen. Wow. I got 2 more tears in the pocket. If I'm gonna fall through, then fuck it now. Way too much right here is at stake. I am invincible. I am unstoppable.
Straight renegade, penetrating minds, taking my time, let me levitate. Y'all can't never fake that. I don't never lack shit. I ain't never asked for nothing to make it right here. Y'all all past, stay stuck up on that shit. Everybody top tip. You ain't even top 10. The criteria ain't even necessary. It's the way a nigga see it. You know niggas is scary. Yeah, I got police out flow. See, I slap now, least I know. I live by the code, fuck bitches like green. So you don't gotta wonder what I got for my team. Got a pocket full of three. My market says clean. I'm playing for the green shot. I'm a team pleaser. I'm a team player. I ain't trying to be no king. Just try to be a legend for a nigga hit 3. Oh, report CEO. Basketball witnessing what I did with DCO. And disregard me. I guess they all got ego. They all need attention. They call me Cheeto. The rock to a Nito. They all believe me though. And even with that, I beat a rap Don Cheeto. It's no trouble wonder. Most cause I got Satsito. All shit. Yes, I'm
I got 2 roaches in the bucket. If the flags fall through, then fuck it now. Way too much right here is insane. I am invincible.
Who would have thought that that little running back with the thickest man mask would be getting in the ass of opponents? Witness what it's showing. We now need a center of guard to get them open. Hold up. I used to run powers in draws, now I'm tricking with the strippers, the power of the draws. And I don't run counters no more, but I take a fly route to an opposite shore. A real life Viking, shout out to St. Paul. Cold pocket max like I'm out of Wake Forest. That's Duncan for slow-mo. Mine be so OT that they probably in the clouds of the old folks. All product, flow is all water. Then I am ahead of my time like false starters. Rap harder, rap smarter, I'm well-rounded. And you are not around like black farmers. The black farm, black man, and black breeze. My weed in my pride, exotic with no seeds. And I am in the heart of every bar who approach me. That's why I get cut like I don't fuck with the coach needs. A cold beast. Nigga, I'm the shit, I ain't gay, I ain't old, I ain't lame, I ain't tip, I am old, but why like that answer to this is you LeBron Ace, which is the witness.
I got 2 roaches in the bucket. If the flags fall through, then fuck it now. Way too much right here is insane. I am invincible. I am unstoppable.
Yeah. Turn me up a little bit. Guess what's been on my mind? That's that little bit sound right there.
Welcome to this country 545, and my flow is sweet as a potato pie. Never been a sour apple, I'm a narrow lady guy. I'm a tell something sweet as she gon' hit me later guy. Never to my hater guy. How you doing, sir? I know you got me words, but keep them to yourself unless the murders with the curve. Cause I'm from the hill, out of here, right here, don't want home and get deal. Ask for why we wouldn't play here. These motherfuckers murder in plain sight. Every day, broad daylight, they right. Shit so cold out this so cold. The 80s has been that way, though, but nigga over that, back to the photo. The comment with the photo. I'm here in the room that joins in the photo. Nigga that really was for the photo. Whoa. You ain't back right. You say that what I mean, try to act right. That black motherfucker got no way for the words I'm saying. He rap like respect my word like a rabbi. I'ma pull the house to a motherfucker real life. Don't you see your girl then she don't look you dead out there. So motherfucker, he still black.
Ain't not place, ain't not English, ain't not God who consider in the music machine. Ain't not one on the play of the show. Ain't not slick by film, Jane, and tip my neck on your own. Ain't not place, ain't not English, ain't not God who consider.
Oh shit, really?
Ain't not one on the play of the show. Ain't not slick by film, Jane, and tip my neck on your own. Ain't not
so fresh, so crazy. Rolling down the street, so slow, so sweet, like cover. Codeine, so keen, on that. I mean, on the street, girl, like I be, I be strapped to the motherfucking so please don't try me. My Chevrolet late, but naked on the asphalt, floor flashing her high beam. I'm still on the top of the young Irene, and we been enjoying my Maxine, relaxing, chilling, double stacking. And even the west out there, that'll be up trying to see what's happening. But now the dodging like rush, these two young ladies is the reason I stop. That's all they got dream about is texting. You texting, hoping that they call you. I just barbecue and call them up and say, hey, call through. You know we shrinking out, tails make into a hole with lots of players. My followers jump like kid, you hear me all about some money. Yeah, young niggas double entendre, you ain't gotta wonder when you act the wonder. But spin to a hanging out the Sean, yeah, you know it, honey.
Ain't not push, ain't not push, ain't not ride to the trigger in the middle of the shit. Ain't not one gonna play up the show. Ain't not sleep out film game and just my back on the hole. Ain't not.
Can you hear music?
Yeah.
I'm playing through my speakers now. I'm like, screw it. Are you going no video?
Yeah, I'm on hotel Wi-Fi and it sucks.
Fair enough. Chad says he'll be here shortly, I guess. How can someone who wasn't supposed to be here be Chad here? Is beyond.
Blows my mind. There he is.
Yeah.
Dude, since when are we doing things early?
I always go in early.
What are you wearing there, Palmer?
I'm wearing my America shades. I'm getting ready for World Cup tomorrow early, son. I'm ready.
I like it. I like it.
All right.
I just got the creepy hall death stare.
Yeah, right. The Hall Death Stare. You got me and you on the vertical filming, which, whatever.
On the what?
Vertical filming. The vertical camera.
I've got a lot going on right now.
Huh?
I've got a lot going on right now.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah, the Fiesta Bowl from this year's on, so I'm watching Baylor.
I'm just watching that too. How good. Andrew's added Google Effects. Excellent. You know I get those pop-ups, Andrew.
Can I add effects like to just my photo?
I don't think so. I really hope not, actually. Try before we get. I mean, obviously we're broadcasting right now, but
I don't think
before we actually get started. I altered the schedule a little bit on it. I figure we'll open up with the CNN thing because it's a story I want to tell and it's way too funny.
It's awesome.
We'll go with
Yeah,
that.
I'm a little behind on that.
I know.
I've been meaning to read all those tweets.
It's fine. I'll catch everyone up. We'll go from there to Tony Gwynn. Basically, it's like this dead on it. Please don't play that at the top of the Tony Gwynn rest in peace segment. Just don't use that one. Then we'll go to Emmert, which has gotten hilarious. If you guys are following the case, super producer Andrew Hall, like DJ Clue from the late '90s, all his mixtapes. Then the halftime. I got a hypothetical. I need to take his computer away. I've got a hypothetical that I think is a bit more sports related. Then we'll go World Cup, talk about Spain and England both being out, and then we'll go to the Chad Floyd portion of the podcast, Joel Embiid and how it affects drafts, and then we'll talk about our
What?
Joel Embiid and how his foot injury.
Oh God.
Yes.
Man, that's so sad.
Don't talk about it now. Talk about it on the podcast.
Nobody's watching.
We have one viewer. Hello, viewer. That's probably my dad.
Do we know who the viewer is?
It's probably my dad. Because he texts me after everyone. He's like, good podcast. I'm like,
Nice.
Thanks, Dad. I feel like a little kid.
Thanks, Mr. Palmer.
I feel like a little kid playing t-ball. Like,
I will
I'm glad my dad cheered me.
Occasionally, my mom will be like, "Oh, I accidentally listened to your podcast today."
That's love right there. And the last thing we'll talk about.
My mom will always tell me to stop saying things suck or something.
Last thing we'll talk about is the off-season, our personal off-season guide, how we get through, the dark days of summer, which is being helped this year with World Cup. Let's be honest, like we can read the tea leaves. Most people are watching baseball on television. Obviously, going to baseball games is an option for y'all, not for me, because the Philly Stadium is terrible. And plus, it was from my Philadelphia people. All right, so is everybody ready? I know, Andrew, you look prepared and focused.
Super ready.
Your picture. Chad, are you ready?
Let's get it.
All right, I'm going to turn this music off. All right, that's done. Oh, God.
I feel like the footage of you just like rocking out with your glasses to music on your speakers is going to be pretty good stuff.
I can't say it won't be good stuff, but I don't want to oversell that.
Watching this games, I feel really bad for the Jaguars taking Bortles.
Can you not watch the game while we podcast for 10 minutes? Or it's to take 30 minutes to get through the podcast.
I've got soccer. They're calling it the most lopsided match of the World Cup.
Well, I'm glad one of us is going to be fully focused on the podcast, mostly because there's not a TV in my office. All right, I'm getting started. Welcome back to Dude Podcast. We're back with your off-season weekly hangover for June 21st. We do this every Saturday at noon. We post all the appropriate links on the site and on social media, so find one of us, follow one of us, and get to viewing. I'm your host, Daniel Palmer. I'm joined this week by the one and only Chad Floyd, Chad_Floyd on Twitter. Chad Floyd, what's going on?
Not a whole lot. And Hall's discovered Google effects, so pretty much I've got really nothing to say that Hall won't somehow overcome with Google effects. But no, I'm good. How about yourself?
Good. I can't complain. Actually drove about an hour away last night for a little country music concert. One of my friends is a manager for a bunch of artists, and he had an artist in town and was like, "Come on down." And I was like, "Well, I guess." And it was fun. It was a good time. Good music, cold beer, can't really beat it. And in the other Hollywood Square, with his static picture today, our editor-in-chief, Mr. Andrew Hall, who, as Chad noted, has found the effects button here on Google+. Hopefully he doesn't drown out everything I try to say. Andrew, what's going on, man?
Not much, man. I am in a hotel room in Tullahoma, Tennessee, which is something I never thought I'd say, much less live on the air. So that's why no live footage of me. Wi-Fi's pretty weak here.
Well, we're upside. We don't have to see you. Downside, your creepy death stare is terrifying. All right, so we're gonna do the hangover. For those of you who are the first time viewing us or listening, we take a lighthearted view at the weekly sports topics, usually through a lens that we think is funny. Because let's be honest, sports takes itself way too serious sometimes. We're saving your Saturdays 1 30-minute block at a time. The first one this week is actually going to be, for 2 weeks in a row, we're the lead story. Dude You Crazy is the lead story. So for those of you who don't follow us on Twitter, which you should do, Andrew's at Dude You Crazy. I'm at DPalm66. Andrew put a post up talking about the UGA special teams, to the UGA special teams account, saying that they'd be allowing one lucky follower to kick a field goal this year or participate in the team. I don't know who follows us on Twitter, but apparently an editor from CNN does, and he retweeted the post and said, "I really hope this is happening." But then he quickly deleted the post because obviously it was fake. Undaunted, Andrew and I chased this poor man down, said, and I quote, "We saw what you did. You can't tweet us and untweet us. Help be the change you want to see in the world. Don't delete the tweet." Andrew came back and said, "We believe in this." And he said, and it was a back and forth with the CNN editor. Basically, we're big time, and that's why I'm wearing the America glasses. We made it, y'all. And furthermore, like, this is cool. This is interesting. I noticed something during this exchange. Our boy Brian, the editor at CNN, has a blue check. Andrew Hall, where's my blue check, dude? Like, I feel like I should be verified.
I don't understand why all of us aren't verified. I mean, I think to get verified, I read something about it. You can either like pay for some advertising or be someone that like could be like something that people would try to parody. And I feel like everyone tries to parody the parody of news that we are. Anytime I read anything funny, I assume whoever wrote it or tweeted it is trying to be like me. So why don't I have a verified check mark?
That's a really airtight case. Chad Floyd, how would your life be different if you had a verified check mark?
That would pretty much be my opening line to girls at the bar.
Wow. As opposed to right now, "Hi, I'm Chad Floyd, pursuant to Megan's list. I'm obligated to inform you that I have a convicted sexual predator."
That's terrible. No. Pretty much this is the second time in a month that we've gotten ourselves into a little tiff with media, so we're doing the right things, apparently.
This wasn't even a tip. This was like, he took the bait that wasn't bait. And all I'm saying is that as opposed to deleting your tweet, let's promote the tweet. Let's get it shared out there. Let's make them make this happen with the invisible UGA special teams coach.
By the way, if you listen out here, I think one way we could maybe show our support for the mainstream media and their short-lived support of us is for everyone out there to go follow CNN Brian. That's Brian with an I. just CNN Brian. Go follow him and tell him that Dude You Crazy sent you.
If anyone actually does this, I'll be flabbergasted. But I'll be really excited too. Let's move on because
we don't even get followers off of our podcast. So
No,
Ryan
we
does.
don't
I
either.
mean,
Lose followers.
I lost 3 this week, and I was like, well, that's fair. I can't get mad at them. I didn't lose any of the blue checks that follow me, which is what really matters. I know that clout was a thing at one point. I'm not sure what my clout score would be, but I've got blue checks following me, so that matters a lot to me. And I'd rather not lose them. All you plebeians following me can unfollow. I'm just kidding. Please don't. Next topic, not a lighthearted topic. Tony Gwynn died. For younger listeners who just know Tony Gwynn, I don't know how you would know him really, but he was the greatest hitter of my childhood. We've all got our own appropriate Tony Gwynn like factoids and stories. My favorite Tony Gwynn factoid is that he played for the Padres, and his entire career he only struck out to the Braves' big three times. Smoltz, Glavine, and Maddox. His entire career, he only struck out to them 3 times. 5 times in his career, he had more stolen bases than strikeouts in a season. The guy was a hitting machine. Chad, any Tony Gwynn thoughts?
I was in Pittsburgh in 2000. It was the year Gwynn and Ripken both retired, and my dad and I picked up an 8x10 of Tony Gwynn and Cal Ripken because they were both retiring. It was like a little Hall of Fame thing. Unfortunately, left it in the hotel room, so I had a baseball with me. Tony Gwynn comes out of the dugout, and I was just freaking out trying to get him to sign my ball, and I couldn't find my pen. He just kind of sits there with a big chaw and just kind of gives me this tobacco grin, just like, come on, kid. And finally, I pull out the marker, get the ball signed. But, I mean, it just kind of underscores everything that's going on in the media this week, talking about just how genuinely great of a person he was. I got to see it firsthand, and I feel lucky to have done so.
Andrew, do you have a Tony Gwynn factoid you'd like to share with the podcast listeners? Because I know we've got 2 viewers now. I can see you.
Oh, right. Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing that stands out to me with Gwynn is somebody that, kind of survived the quote-unquote dawn of the internet and blog and this age, and all week I've yet to see anything negative written about the guy. I think that's a true testament. He may be one of the last athletes we ever see die too soon and not have some kind of dark story come out. Not to say he was a perfect human being, but yet to hear anything negative on him.
Yeah, especially in the internet age, you get those contrarian points where people try to take just for clickbait and whatnot, just try to take the opposite view on a widely accepted premise, and you haven't seen it. You're right.
Top 10 reasons why Tony Gwynn was the worst person alive.
A list you'll never see on the internet. I bet if it did arise, it would be roundly shouted down and mostly ignored, so I don't think that would even work as clickbait. Let's get back to something I can make fun of. Mark Emmert took the stand this week. The NCAA versus O'Banion lawsuit. For those of you who are living under a rock or don't care about college football, first of all, well, welcome. Glad you found us. Second of all, so Ed O'Banion is leading a lawsuit against the NCAA about likeness rights for players, saying that they've been monetized by the NCAA establishment, by the member schools, and that they deserve to be remunerated in some way. So Mark Emmert's the head of the NCAA. He's famous for saying things that are patently wrong and standing by them for no good reason. And I cannot explain who he is more to a layperson than that. If you're like us, you follow him way too much, you pay attention to what he says. They did an Ask Mark Emmert on, I believe, one of the ESPN morning shows that did not go well, to put it lightly. And I'm just going to read some of the testimony. I swear to you, these are quotes that he said under oath. The physical, mental, and social benefits to be derived represent the pro-competitive justification that excuses rules that prevent athletes from selling their names, image, and likenesses. He also followed up to say, I want us to make sure in an amateur context that it doesn't go to a place where the student athletes are in fact being used as nothing more than shills for a product. I would like to point to any Google search, any prominent college athlete, see them wearing shirts that not only say their school, but might say a conference championship, probably in front of a championship banner sponsored by, let's say, Dr. Pepper. Or, I don't know, let's call the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl with pictures of Blake Bortles on the side of it. This is at best disingenuous, at worst blatant lying under oath. Andrew, you and I have been harping on this since before you and I started podcasting this stuff. If you believe anything the NCAA is saying in court right now, can you be trusted to be a competent consumer of anything?
No. That's the short answer. The thing that's bad is, like, with Emmert, I don't know that he's incompetent. I don't know that he's corrupt. I just think he has said the same thing same craziness for so long that I think the man actually thinks he makes sense. If you only hear your own words, then other words don't matter, and that's what's happened to Mark Emmert.
Another big thing that Emmert said, and then the interesting thing about this case is that it's not a jury trial. It's a bench trial, which means the judge has the right to ask questions of Emmert, which the judge did on Friday. Judge Wilkins asked Emmert more about third parties, and Emmert discussed third parties involved in athletes' lives who seek to cash in on athletes' efforts. I assume he meant agents and people of that like, but what comes to mind is Nick Saban's new deal being worth $7 million. What comes to mind is Pac-12 Commissioner Larry Scott pulling in $3 million for the calendar year, and Mark Emmert himself pulling over a $1.2 million salary last year. Wilkin asked again about the NCAA protecting student athletes from exploitation by commercial enterprises, and he repeated under oath that college athletes should not be pitchmen for various products. Meanwhile, go to watch any post-game press conference, including those at my alma mater, Columbia, a school that is not a Division 1A football school or any sport. And guess what? The post-game press conferences have logos on them. Chad Floyd, there's not even a question here. It's just, what are you following the trial? First and foremost, are you following it?
Yeah. And,
okay.
I mean, it kind of becomes the Donald Sterling thing all over again in a very similar way. But he's kind of like the Lane Kiffin of administration. Everywhere he goes, he sucks at his job and he keeps on moving up. And it's just something that at this point you feel for the athletes, but you just have to laugh at, because Mark Emmert is just an incompetent. I mean, y'all pretty much said it all, but he's just an idiot. It's hilarious.
It's funny because on Tuesday, Dr. Ellen Strakowski, I just butchered her poor woman's name, but she's the she's a professor in the Department of Sports Management at the Goodwin College of Professional Studies at Drexel. That's right, I did research for this podcast. She cited the collegiate licensing company saying college-branded merchandise totals over $4.6 billion annually, and that right now, based on current projections, the college merchandise market will outpace the NFL merchandise market this year and in all forthcoming years. I honestly, if you've been paying attention at all, and you've been one of those people who takes the stance that these players are being fairly compensated through scholarships, if you're paying attention to this trial and if you still defend the NCAA, you're hopeless. There's no way to do it. We've reached the point of no return. Emmert repeated an opinion for the judge. She asked, followed up with a two-part question. Maybe you don't want that being players exploited for as pitchmen, but do you consider that to be exploitation of them, or is that something you just don't want to happen? Emmert's reply, under oath again, when this rule, again, has been discussed by the membership, the answer would be both. The assumption is that by converting them into a professional athlete, they're no longer a student athlete. They're not part of the academic environment. They're not in position to gain the advantage. They're not in position to gain the advantages of being a student athlete and being a student of the university. They're not there avocationally, but vocationally. And you consider, and the judge replied, you consider this to be an exploitation of them. Yes, Emmert replied in this language, yes. So, in short, Emmert thinks that if we allow to pay players for their likenesses and images, that it'd be exploiting them. But not playing them isn't. Dude, you podcast rests our case.
My favorite thing on this is that he describes commercial enterprises as inappropriate, and then he says it's fairly irrelevant because the schools are the ones that make the rules on commercial enterprises.
Yeah, he at the same time denied the premise and then dodged the question. It was very impressive. To be fair, if I had that much money tied up in a crooked enterprise, I'd be doing everything I could to save it too. But at the same time, this has gotten untenable. We're watching the end of the NCAA, and I, for one, couldn't be more amused. We've reached the halftime portion of our show, and I'm going to get to our super producer Andrew Hall once again on the ones and twos. We're going to reach our hypothetically speaking for the week, and while the first two are my personal hypotheticals on how I judge my friends, this one's a bit more sports contextually. Would you rather be Tiger Woods or Lance Armstrong? Here's your caveat. Tiger Woods was once the greatest golfer in the world, very public meltdown on the night after Thanksgiving a couple years back. We all may have recalled it. Lost his wife, lost his house, lost half his money, and is now struggling. He's still in the public eye. Public's largely forgiven him, but he's still struggling to get back to form. Or Lance Armstrong, who not only was the greatest bicyclist, I guess? Cyclist? I don't care.
Cyclist.
They're cyclists in the world for a long time, but and not only aggressively denied drug-using rumors, but took people to court over them, only to later admit it to himself and everyone else around him, lose all of his money, but still be a beloved figure for what he did for cancer research in a lot of circles. Chad Ford, the question goes to you first. Are you going Lance or are you going Tiger?
Tiger.
Ooh, defend it.
Easily. He's the first billion-dollar athlete. He, regardless of, he's better viewed in the public eye. He's going to hold on to all of his money. He's good at golf, and he can pretty much get with any woman he wants. Tiger in a landslide.
There it is. Andrew Hall, what's your take?
Yeah, Tiger's probably in my top 10 athletes that I'd want to be. So he's definitely edging Lance for all the reasons Chad just said.
All right, so I'm going to take a contrarian point of view. I would go Lance.
What?
And it's not just to create conflict in the pod, but also because think about it this way: his fall. He wasn't at the top when he fell. Once he fell. His fall came like a couple years out of the spotlight. No one was really watching Twitter France anyway. And if you say Lance Armstrong to the average guy on the street, you hear Live Strong, you hear Cancer Survivor. The guy's got some of that ingrained goodwill you can't really shake. Tiger Woods, for as much as you and I agree that, hey, this guy is a multimillionaire, he's the greatest golfer of all time, he's a top 10 athlete, but the largely public perception of him is getting hit by a golf club by his wife. Like, I think that, yeah, the money, I think at a certain point, once you get to a certain level, is negligible. I think that Lance Armstrong, while you, I, and people who watch and pay attention at this point to him realize what a reprehensible human being he is, the larger public just says, oh, that's the guy who won all those races and helped fight cancer. Once you fight cancer is in your resume, it's hard to get the public to really turn on you.
But they did.
The public didn't.
They did, Palmer.
Oh, man. They turned on him once he's retired. It's like everyone realizing once Michael Jordan retired that he wears dad jeans, doesn't actually do anything for the Hornets, plays way too much golf, and is a gambling degenerate. Like, no one cares about these things. He was great when he was great.
But it was cycling.
That's you know what? The niche sport really submarines my argument. All right, we'll get to the second half of the pod right now. We'll go straight to the World Cup. Great action. I know we're all been watching. I'm wearing my USA shades and to break them in for USA Portugal tomorrow. I'm just trying to also forget that we're at the play Ronaldo tomorrow. It's really kind of getting to me a little bit. So last time at the World Cup, Spain won it all. Now Spain's out. England's a perennial frontrunner, hasn't not made the knockout round since '54, I believe. They're out. Chad, is it fun to cheer for America or to watch these other nations that actually care about soccer on a national level fall flat on their faces?
And I can say this having never done like a study abroad or anything, but I love watching the Yankees fail almost as much as I like watching the Braves succeed. I love watching Duke basketball fail, the Red Sox fail, Notre Dame fail. It's awesome to watch these powerhouses just get absolutely abused. They both lost to Costa Rica. And, it's excellent. Like, I don't care about U.S. soccer, but...
Whoa. Slow down. Let's not alienate the entire podcast audience.
I mean, we covered this in 2 pods. I was quite thorough with the fact that I don't care. I'm actually enjoying the World Cup, though. I just watched a referee just absolutely blatantly steal the ball from Iran. But, no, Spain had one of the best runs over the past 6 years. They won the Euro, they won the World Cup, and then they just came here and got demolished. It's fantastic.
Andrew, I know you've been
I like watching train wrecks.
We know, Chad. We've seen your life. Andrew, I know you've dipped your toes in the World Cup pool. What do you think so far? Is it more fun to watch USA win or watch these other stations lose?
Thus far, it's more fun to watch USA win just because I'm a true patriot. That being said,
God bless you.
the long-term benefit of this for me is going to be watching the national powers fall. And unfortunately, I wish that didn't coincide with the same time frame as the U.S. winning. Ideally, the U.S. could win, then they'd lose because I know that's going to happen, and then we could start watching all these powers drop out. But it is what it is.
I, for one, am excited to always watch England lose. It's the only nation I'm openly xenophobic against because of 1776. Still, I hold a grudge. What do you want me to say? And I'll say this. If the U.S. gets good at soccer, cancel the world. We took it over. It's a wrap. United States of Earth. If we run soccer, what more do you have, little countries? What else do you got? You want rugby? We'll come for – hey, look. We're here for sports, Chad. Race cars, basketball, football, and if you get soccer, it's a wrap. Education, though, is a pretty good point. We'll go down to the Chad Floyd focused part of the podcast. I've been told.
What does that mean?
The NBA draft's coming up, which features players that I'm unfamiliar with because I don't watch college basketball. But I've also been told that Joel Embiid broke his foot. This is the same type of stretch fracture that your boy Yao Ming had a couple years back. Chad, how's this going to affect draft boards?
I mean, it completely shakes everything up. He could go anywhere now from – I could see him going as high as 6 and as low as, towards the bottom of the first round. So somebody's going to get a great value pick, and Jay Billis is going to love it at about 15, I think. But, I mean, you feel bad for the dude, but at the same time, it almost saves Cleveland from themselves from falling into the trap of the next great big with potential who never really did much of anything in college. His teammate, Andrew Wiggins, meanwhile, I watched him just effortlessly drop 44 on West Virginia earlier this year and clearly has the most upside in the draft. So really, Joel Embiid's stress fracture just saved the Cleveland Cavaliers from making a horrific mistake, in my opinion.
Okay, so I'm going to follow up because I'm trying to educate myself for the NBA draft. Okay. So it's of my perspective and things I've seen that Embiid had – not maybe the biggest upside, but one of the biggest intangibles in that you can't teach that size. He seemed like a supersized Serge Ibaka, which if that's a comp, that's a good thing. I feel like Andrew Wiggins is the most explosive player in the draft, probably the biggest upside, but I think the surest thing is Jabari Parker. Of these top three, do you think the Embiid injury moves one of these two players ahead of him? And if so, why? Because I honestly get that there's worries about the injury, or worried about the stress fracture, but Cleveland is a city that they don't need another wing. This is a city that needs a big guy who can be a defensive stopper. You pair a Kyrie Irving with a stopper like Embiid has the potential to be, and things that you've seen. And I think that maybe you've got something going there for the future. Does it say something more about the Cleveland psyche as a whole that you can't take an injured prospect?
Well, I mean, he already had back issues before the stress fracture, so this isn't the first red flag that's come up about Embiid. But, at number one, you can't really worry about positional fit. You need to find the best player available. And, I think Embiid probably falls behind not only the two you mentioned being Wiggins and Parker, but also Dante Exum, the kid from Australia, who I think is going to be a stud. Probably Julius Randle from Kentucky, who's, a Zebo in the NBA. I mean, there's a lot of.
You be quiet about Julius Randle. I've got dreams of him falling to 13.
13 is that where Atlanta picks?
Maybe, I don't know. Who's asking?
But then the dude from Indiana too, Vonleh, he's apparently shooting up the boards too. So I think Embiid's set for a longer fall than last year with Nerlens Noel, and we knew about Noel's injury months in advance. I think Embiid's going to plummet. Because you just can't take that risk when there's so many good prospects on the board.
That's what's interesting to me is that Embiid, you say that the back issues, I think the back issues have been largely resolved by his workouts, and that's what had him as the number one overall. The other thing that is interesting here is that the entire thing the Sixers have been doing all season has been, quote-unquote, rigging for Wiggins, and I think that the conventional wisdom before the foot injury was that you'd see Embiid at 1 at Cleveland, 2 would probably be Parker for the Bucks, Midwest guy, and then Wiggins would end up in Philly. Let's say that it flip-flops that Parker and Wiggins go first overall. I can't see Philadelphia taking Embiid when they've already got Nerlens Noel.
Oh, no, they wouldn't. I mean, at that point, you're looking at, like I said, an Exum or maybe even a Vonleh. But, I mean, that would be like Von is kind of a stretch four, really, is his future in the NBA. That'd be a pretty solid 1-2 on the front line.
I want to say thanks. I want to say thanks again for taking the 18-hour plane flights over to scout Exum so much. I'm glad you were able to get to Australia a bunch this year. Andrew, do you have any...
no, I mean there's a lot of interest between him and Carolina for a time, so I had a vested interest there.
Fair enough. Andrew, Embiid thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the thing for me is the big thing isn't so much the injuries. My biggest red flag is the fact that he's actually a 7-footer, and we're constantly on this search for the next great big man. But the bottom line is this isn't a league that's dominated by big men anymore. You look at the big men that were over 7 feet drafted over the last 5 years, and you've got a pretty abysmal group. Guys like Byron Mullins and Hasheem Thabeet and Fab Melo and all those folks. I mean, I don't understand why we're so enamored by him because, again, we've got such a deep draft class. The back would have been a red flag. Obviously, the foot is. But, again, the thing that concerns me most is we're talking about a 7-foot guy trying to make his way in the NBA, and none have been able to do that recently.
And that's how I know you don't watch the NBA, because you know there's a young man down in New Orleans, Anthony Davis, who's going to be a top 3 player in the next 5 years. The thing about
that's one, though. I mean, how many others have been drafted in the first round?
But that's the thing, is that once you've got a 7-footer, it changes the entire game.
But Embiid can't do the things that Anthony Davis does.
Yeah.
All right. Well, first of all, when did I get on the boat of defending Embiid and 7-footers in general? All I'm saying is a 7-foot man on the basketball court affects
Davis
both
is
teams
6'10"
greatly. What?
Davis is 6'10".
I'm rounding up. He's on the cool side of 7 feet. The bottom line is you can't.
He was under 7 feet before it was cool.
You can't look, you can't teach that kind of size. The defensive effect of just having it on the court. Hibbert, like, just even when he was abysmal this playoffs, he affected other teams' shots by being on the court. There's a reason why Pop was never going to pull out Tim Duncan at the end of a game like he did at the end of Game 6 last year, is because
he did it at the end of Game 6 last year.
And it was wrong. He was wrong. It didn't work. All right, I'm done.
But here's the thing, Palmer. You said it's the same injury that Yao Ming had, and as I recall, that didn't work out so well for Yao Ming. And
it worked out pretty well for the tune of a couple of first-team NBA teams. It didn't work out
but then he had the stress fracture, and you never heard from him again.
Well, you heard from him. He's just an ambassador from China now. He's not a basketball player. He's not.
But B, there's so many elite prospects in this draft that you can't afford to take a guy who might not. He may or may not play more games than Greg Oden in the NBA.
Congratulations, Shad Foy. You just talked me into watching the NBA draft. For those keeping track, the NBA draft is the 26th. It's going to be on ESPN, and I guess
live pod.
There will be no live pod. At least I won't be on it, because aside from these 3 kids, I have no idea about who's in this draft, because I don't watch college basketball, because I like good basketball. You miss layups, I don't watch. It's one of my few rules in life.
Yeah, the guys who miss layups aren't getting drafted.
Have you seen some of these guys? Yeah, they are. Jeremy Lamb is in the NBA. I hate to remind you.
Joe getting drafted.
Oh, stop it. You don't know that yet, maybe. All right. Lastly, we're going to touch on off-season survival guides. I know everyone jokes about this time of year. Once basketball ends, once you're in the dog days of baseball before it gets tight, people consider this the longest days of summer. We're recording on the 21st, which is the longest day of the year. What's your off-season survival guide, Andrew, to carry you through to college football starting up again?
This is really pathetic, and it's kind of a cop-out, but I record an awful lot of college football games during the season, and I try to rewatch as many as I can during this time of year, especially as I'm doing like team previews, that and a lot of alcohol.
I feel like the alcohol is a year-round thing with you, or with all of us. I'm not judging, never judging. But I'm glad to hear your input. Chad Floyd, what's your off-season survival guide? What do you do to get us through these dark days of summer?
Pretty much the same as Hall. Unfortunately, my DVR doesn't go back to football season, so I've been on YouTube a good bit. Also, the Phil Steele magazine comes out on Tuesday, so I will be doing my annual nerd alert of showing up at Barnes & Noble on the morning the magazine hits newsstands and starting to read up. But, I mean, at this point, we are after this weekend, we're in single-digit weekends until we have college football on our weekend.
Oh, yeah.
A very good point. Off seasons for me, survival guide. This year, it's been helped out with the World Cup. But once basketball ends, before football, I always do a full 5-season Wire rewatch. The nights I would normally be watching basketball, I just turn on the Wire. Also, mix in this year, I'm not going to lie, and I'm going to plug it one more time, WWE Network is $10 a month. It's got all historical wrestling matches. It's got all the big three promotions, all the pay-per-views. They're getting the old night shows on there now. I wish you guys watched pro wrestling so that I could spice up the podcast a little more, but I guess it says more about me that I do watch it.
Right.
Thanks to everyone for listening or watching later or listening later or hanging out or whatever. Thanks for paying attention. Check us all out at dudeyoucrazy.net. The podcast is on iTunes, on Spreaker, or no, on Stitcher. You can subscribe, leave 5-star reviews. It helps the podcast out a lot. We don't ask for money. We don't ask for actual adulation, but just go click that 5 stars. Helps us in rankings. It helps us tell people that people actually listen. As always, I'm Daniel Palmer at DPalm66, and we'll catch you guys next week, noon, for the off-season weekly hangover. Say bye, guys.
Bye.
Later.